What single human has done the most damage to the progression of humanity in the history of mankind? Op is compiling a hit list for their time-traveling journeys. I just want to talk with them. Give him the clamps. Oh, you think I should use these clamps, that I use every day at any opportunity? You're a freaking genius, ya idiot. Ho. Ho. This guy's an ox. He's got oxen-like strength. Hey, he needs a nickname, right? Let's call him Clamps. There's really nothing like those golden years of Futurama and The Simpsons. Did Futurama ever really taper off though? I thought it was gold start to finish. It finished strong, but the later seasons were definitely falling off according to popular opinion. Popular opinion is still just opinions though, and enjoyment is subjective. If you thought it was gold start to finish, then it was. It sure as hell was gold start to finish for me. Silly with a touch of heartwarming and a bit of sadness to each individual. Sheikh al-Islam. I heard of this guy after hearing someone on TV complain about how this man set the Islamic world back by centuries. In 1515, the age of the Ottoman Empire, he, a learned scholar of the kingdom, issued a decree that forbid printing, press, and made using it punishable by death. Edit, grammar, more context. Wiki, in the year 1515, Sheikh al-Islam of ulama learned scholars, issued a fatwa that printing was forbidden. As a result, Ottoman Sultan Selim issued a decree of a death penalty on anyone using the printing press. The fatwa has been attributed as one of the reasons for the stagnation of knowledge, invention and discovery in the Muslim world. At a time when Europe was in the midst of their Renaissance period, it seems that Sheikh al-Islam is a title though, not a name. It seems that Sheikh al-Islam is a title though, not a name, and we would have known for sure though, if there were any books about it. It was all part of the master plan. Please brother, take a chance. Purportedly, the unnamed inventor of flexible glass, Vitrum Flexel, brought a drinking bowl made of the material before Tiberius Caesar. The bowl was put through a test to break it, but it merely dented, rather than shattering. The inventor repaired the bowl easily with a small hammer, according to Petronius. After the inventor swore that he was the only man alive who knew the manufacturing technique, Tiberius had the man executed. He feared that the glass would devalue gold and silver, since the material might be more valuable. n.m.wikipedia.org. What an idiot. TC had access to what he thought was worth more than gold and silver, so rather than claiming this new flexiglass material for his own benefit in the name of the empire, or whatever, he wipes it out of existence? Just because you're in charge doesn't mean you're smart. The Ottoman caliphs who banned the printing press in the Muslim world. That's exactly how you destroy a civilization. Wow, that's like erasing the potential of millions of minds. Who knows what may have come from someone becoming literate enough to explain their ideas back then. I'd be thinking this onto a screen from Titan right now. Even more sad when you TK that back then the Middle East was the hub of science and medicine. That was before the Mongol conquests. The Ottomans came centuries later. So the Mongols also slowed down progress? I mean, they killed an estimated 11% of the world population. Despite never leaving Eurasia. Bakhtiar Khilji. Hands down. In 12th century there was the world's biggest university in India named Nalanda, where intellectuals from all around the world used to study. Then Turks invaded India under Khilji. They killed almost all the intellectuals and destroyed the university. And they burnt the library. The library continued to burn for 3 months. This has to be by far the biggest loss to mankind emo. Same as Sunny Ali. Songhai King, who couldn't read or write, in this inferiority complex led him to conquer and burn down Timbuktu and killing all scholars that didn't manage to escape. A leader with an inferiority complex destroying things? That's some wild history. Surely that wouldn't happen today. History is stuck on repeat. History may not repeat, but it sure as shit rhymes. A lot of people don't seem to understand the question. It's not who did bad thing or who I hate more. It's who hindered the progress of humanity the most. People just don't want to understand. Guy to Sholyak. He was a surgeon in the 1300s who vehemently spoke out against another fellow surgeon, Theodoric Borgognoni. Theodoric was a surgeon who wrote about his theories on proper wound care and believed that the best thing you can do to a wound is wrap it and keep it clean. Guy hated what Theodoric was writing because it directly went against the teachings of Galen, an ancient Greek surgeon who believed pus was the Baudi's way of balancing your humors. Guy's teachings were widely accepted, and it's believed that his ignorance set the development of antisepsis in surgery back about 600 years. Edit: Guy de Chauliac was born in the 1300s, not 1200s, as he was alive during the Black Death. Ignaz Semmelweis was the guy who was thrown into a mental asylum for saying surgeons should wash their hands between seeing patients. That stupid fish that decided to leave water. Robert Maxwell, father of Ghislaine. The man was the leading cause of paywalled scientific articles today. Before him, science publishing was relatively open. He helped shape the industry into the cancer on academia is today. Edit: quite the thing to wake up to, thanks everyone. For those interested, I found an article that details the events pretty well. The Dr. version is that through use of PR marketing, exclusivity deals, and copyright law, Maxwell through Pergamon Press turned scientific publishing from a relatively non-profit-driven endeavor to a predatory industry that charged institutions out the nose for research they paid nothing for. Check out Alexandra and C-Hub. They've definitely helped many people who can't access scientific research. Video on C-Hub, youtube.com article, theguardian.com. Yongle, emperor of the Ming dynasty in China, ordered the fleet of Zheng He, the greatest trading and exploration fleet of the time, to be burned during his reign in the early 1400s. This was the beginning of an era of isolation for Chinese kingdoms, which ultimately led to the collapse of Imperial China, and indirectly to the rise of the PRC. Additionally, the wealth of the world overall decreased as a result of reduced trade with China, and if China had continued exploring, it is possible that they, not Europeans, would have colonized North America, instead of merely maybe discovering it then telling no one as they did in history. It may not be a significant alteration of human progress, but it's one of those events that sets the world in a definitively different direction. Edit: didn't say the Chinese did discover America, just that they might have, because it's been theorized that they did and they had the technology. I mean, the Inuit and Siberians have been crossing the Bering Sea in leather kayaks for thousands of years, so the Chinese definitely could have done it too if they wandered up that far. I don't know much about the actual history of that theory, and most of my comments on that are from Wikipedia searches this morning and willingness to believe fun hidden history scenarios that are actually possible. Thanks for all the upvotes. As a caveat, it would have hugely changed naval history too. It would be accurate to say that Europeans and their methods of sailing enabled European-led globalization and colonization. The durability of their designs, relative speed and range were critical developments with a measurable impact on the world. But, really, the Chinese had a totally different system which would have really worked just as well, if not better. European ships were relatively small and had canvas sails, while the great Chinese ships that Zheng He used were massive, and used these kind of folding bamboo sails, ingenious for their strength and manageability. They even had watertight compartments, something European ships didn't even consider using for centuries. Both parts of the world produced ships that could do what the other kind did, while looking extremely different. So as a maritime history buff, I'm totally fascinated by how things on the high seas would have looked had the Yongle Emperor not stifled Chinese naval expansion in the cradle. Edit: book recommendations are, anything by Brian Lavery and Robert Gardner. If China had begun to colonize the New World around the mid to late 1400s, the Europeans wouldn't be prevented from doing the same from the West around the same time. European and Far Eastern civilization would compete in the Americas. Now that would have made some really cool Western cowboy movie sample titles could include Lone Ranger and the Battle of New Shanghai. Noodle Westerns. Edit: it seems I might have done a small Reddit. There is a ramen western called Tom Popo. Definitely a fun movie and worth checking out if you're a foodie. I would suggest Andrew Wakefield. His work Ileal lymphoid nodular hyperplasia, nonspecific colitis, and pervasive developmental disorder in children has been directly responsible for the mistrust of vaccines, the decline of Western rates of vaccination, and basically telling everybody that there's a boogeyman underneath your bed. He is directly responsible for thousands and thousands of deaths. He's a scientist who made a mistake. Why are you blaming him? It's not that he made a mistake. He had purposely customized the outcomes to meet the hypothesis so that he could get rich selling safe vaccines and diagnostic kits. He poisoned the well that saved so many people just so he could get rich. I have no idea how he can sleep at night. ITT, pervade history as far as the eye can see. The only thing humans really learn by studying their history is that humans do not learn from their history. How in the duck did you land that username? Illuminati. Shoulda said, redacted. Nah, hiding in plain sight is best. If you act like you belong, people usually assume you actually do belong. Nods and writes this down. Bring a notepad and a pencil everywhere you go, soon you'll be going places you're not allowed.